just a few words.
Listen to me.
Yeah, please sit down, Sam. Just a few words. I've been thinking about some things. You know, if you'd have been a preacher, your brothers would have been preachers. If you'd have been a soldier, they'd be soldiers. You know that. I mean, they all came here because of you. I mean, you called and they came running. That's because they look up to you. They always expect you to know what's best.
Yes, my shit right here. So that's my shit right here. Welcome back to another episode of Road to William. Today, y'all, we're gonna be talking about American Gangster. Movie time. So we're gonna be talking about American Gangster. I saw the movie for the first time. I've only saw in the past. I've only saw clips of it or whatnot. So this was my first time watching it, and I'm glad I did. I learned a lot, and we're just gonna pick apart some stuff played by DenzelWashington, based on a true story. And I think I like how you saw kind of a start to finish kind of in someone's life. You got to see them. I like how it teaches you different lessons just in life to carry with you. Because no matter what industry or field you're in, it applies to them all. I want to start with the mom because the mom I felt like was an angel, his shoulder. Hold on, let me get this. Right. And he was having a conversation with his mom, Mama Lucas, played by the late Ruby Dee. And although she had small roles, I feel like she didn't have as much to say, but it was needed. And because I was expecting she was gonna have long monologues and all this other. I was like, no, but the snippets she had was on point. But it was a scene where she was talking to Frank about she started to notice that the life he was living was starting to affect the family and him. And she was like, look, she told him, I never questioned where you got the money to buy this big house, all these cars, getting us clothes, what have you, because they lived very poor. They had a home in the South, but it was still heavily segregated, all that. So Frank brought his family out of what he grew up in, what he wanted to grow from. A lot of times, especially in the Black community, it's like when you come up or when you hit that success you want to bring everybody with you. And that's what he did. He brought his family, it was mainly his family. I don't know, it's too many friends, and he was like, I'm gonna put my people on. And his mom wanted to remind him or let him know that his cousins and all the people he brought with look up to him. And when you look up to somebody, you watch what they do. For for his family who didn't really come from anything, and they see somebody they know and love now successful and got all the things they always wanted and stuff, they want that too. They want to have that feeling. It's good to have someone you inspire to be or someone inspires you, people you may look up to, but it's kind of like you take that with a grain of salt because there's that saying where it's like you don't know how they got it. They're successful in your eyes, but maybe they're in pain in the dark. But she told him that because she was like, look, the path that you're going down and we're going down with you, it's not, it's an end road and it's left or right. And she saw that dead end coming and she was trying to have him abort the mission, abort it. Whatever it is, we can go back. We can figure something out. He was kind of brushing it off like he did other people. There was more than one person letting Frank know, like, look, maybe you should get out of this. Even the people he was doing business with was like, maybe we should just sever these ties right now because it's gonna be crazy. Um, I like how he could talk with anyone, he could negotiate with anyone, except, Idris Elba's character, which that threw me off. I was like, Tango, when he had to let Tango go, I was like, dang. But it was everything that Frank didn't like about people, like the greed, the flashiness, and the disrespect. And I feel like part of the reason why Frank got so much protection and love for so long was because it wasn't just that he was helping people get money. It was like who he was as a person, and people respected him. And it's like you can have money and no respect, and that means nothing. But if you have money, respect, and power, see, we seeing in these tabloids people going down in history. And it's like, but they had the money and they had the power, but they didn't have the respect because that goes further than anything. Before you make money, you want to be able to respect the person. Like, how do you talk to each other? How do you treat each other? How do you treat other people? And when Tango was walking around the block, around the neighborhood, he always had like a woman with him, uh, and he was dressed to the T or whatever, but he was always trying to show it. And Frank was like the complete opposite at one point because he was like, look, as long as we got it, we don't need to show it. That was his whole kind of motto. But the disrespect was like the last straw for him. And so he had to show, and I don't think he was showing off to his family in that scene, but I think he couldn't let that, he couldn't sit with that. And his family just happened to be there. He was like, well, I'm gonna just turn this into a lesson for y'all. And sat back and kept eating. Like, well, that's business. Come on. Many other times you'll see in movies or something or you hear about on the TV news people running away after they do something like that. They ran, they got a getaway car. He went back and sat in the restaurant and they had his food ready. Respect, respect, respect. Um, but I felt like the mother was like that angel on his shoulder. You got the devil on one end, you got the angel over here. But she was like that angel speaking to him, saying, giving him some wisdom in his ear, ringing your ear a bit. Because if you get caught up, if he wouldn't have brought his family or found love or anything, nobody would have been holding him accountable and stuff or guiding him or directing him. His family, he wanted to give back. It's known when, especially Black community, you don't have anything, you want to get a whole hood everything. You ain't got no food here, you ain't got no clothes here, you ain't got no home. Here's your home. Everyone want to get a house, this, that. But it reminded me of the scene of y'all know I'm really into film, but something about Italian film. I don't know. I don't know. I love it. So y'all ever seen the Goodfellas? The Goodfellas scene where it's Christmas time and they just got this big heist out the way and they meet up at the bar and the main guys they know like okay we already dress nice but we already people already know how we dress how we are but then they brought people from the heist started being flashy buying expensive cars and this is around a time where it's like people aren't really they're barely making it as is like everybody so then it's like the ones who really got it are like the ones dealing, the one you're doing something probably you shouldn't be doing, getting all this money out of nowhere. And so, but then it was like the heist was like on the news and stuff. So it was like they're getting a telescope of things. And then the main guys were upset because they're like, you shouldn't just go around start buying all this stuff because we're gonna get noticed. And that's what happened in American Gangster. Like they started stepping out. And he had to remind them, like, you ain't got to do that. Like, we gonna, get caught or whatever. But at one point, Frank goes to this boxing match and he brings his woman, uh, who he marries. They like fall in love, and it's the whole movie to me, especially when the wife comes in, it's the American dream. You want that, what? You want to be married. The American dream is what you get married, have kids, have a white picket fence, the front of your home. The American dream is like you have everything you need and want. And yes, you may have had to work hard to get it, but now that you have it, life is complete. Be content and live it out. She kind of represented that. She tried to balance him out, but then she tried to show him new things. Like when you join with someone, especially in marriage or what have your relationship, you're accepting the fact that you're gonna go on this journey of life together, and they're going to show you some things and you're going to show them some things. You are going to learn about each other, you know. And she was showing him, tap more into your fashion. It's okay to dress like this or do that. And he did explore that, but he immediately got pissed because he started to get noticed by the feds and everybody. So he was like, this is the reason why I don't do this. That's when everything started kind of crumbling because they got eyes on him. Like I always compare stuff to Power, but Ghost was Ghost for so long because they never had a photo of him. That's why he got away with stuff for so long. He didn't go out like that, but when he wanted to get out of the game and start doing his own thing, he started to get noticed because his dreams were becoming like just bigger than him and his family. It was like, okay, other people want to be a part of this success. People want to showboat it. Now you're starting to get kind of know like, who is this? Yeah. Now you want to get into politics. Who are you? And it kind of showed in this film like when you do want to truly step out, like, and you can, but if you ain't doing something legit, it's gonna always come back kind of thing. But this movie is about working together, him and the detective Richie Roberts. I liked how in the film they were comparing the different sides of it. Like you get a day in the life of both characters of Richie Roberts and Frank Lucas. They kind of show you decide that, people are creating this organization now, and then they're showing you the organization of the law enforcement and how they get their guys together. But there's also bad apples in the bunch, just like there's bad apples in on the other side. They show you like this flipped coin. Both gotta make money, both gotta support their family. They both got, their own issues. Eva was lacking more of the intimacy of love, I feel, like the full part of love from him because he was so focused on everything else. On the flip coin of it, Richie's family, his ex, don't want nothing to do with him, don't want him to have anything to do with his kids. Like he's stressing out. Like that's where it's, hitting home for them. But it's like you got to do that and your career. It's like, oh, what is this life work balance going on? This film also taught you to like believe in yourself because Frank was like confident through it all. He had to be. He was like the new Don. He the new one who had to run everything when his mentor, the person who showed him how to even get in the game, passed on. He passed on a lot of stuff because he could have never met him and not learned anything and been some we don't know where. As messed up as what a situation can be like that, he put food on people's tables and what have you. And he saw how the drug game, what it was like, and how it affected people. So he never got into that, which I'm glad, because sometimes you'll see like people will tap into it and they lose themselves in it. Um, this film was about like making good judgments. Like everything isn't a fight. Like compared to when he had to take out Tango, it's like no, it was gonna, end brutally anyhow because the disrespect just kept getting stronger and stronger. But it was a scene where they're at this party or they were hosting a party and one of Frank's cousins like punched somebody for saying something. But it wasn't like as big of a deal to like be punched. And so Frank kind of snapped on him because it was like you got to know when to fight your battles. Like every battle ain't a fight. That could have been words. This film showed how bribes are limited. That Christmas scene where Frank's driver went over to the detective, and he was, the detective been following them, trying to figure out, who's the connect. Could it? Because everybody, even Richie, was like, "Who is his connect?" Because he can't be the one, can't be right. And I think that's where Richie and Trupo kind of like split ways, not just because their morals and values are different, but because the Trupo was trying to, he was after greed. He just wanted his money. I don't care what y'all doing, just pay me and I'm going to sit here. This is just part of it. I'm going to sit here. And then Richie's more like, no, people are like dying on the streets because of it, because now there's a bad drug that's killing people. Like, we have to find who's doing this. And Trupo's kind of on the other side, like, no, I'm good. Like, people gonna die anyway, type of thing. It showed that bribes are limited because it didn't help them in the end to keep extending something. Like, if you ran out of money, like they was gonna turn you in anyway. Or if you didn't do what they say or paid them that extra money, they was gonna turn you in anyway. So it was never, but it was like, well, what did we do? Do we prolong this problem or what? The movie showed about, talked about a lot about ownership. And because Frank was like, even the person who taught him to get in the game didn't own himself. Like he was owned by the white people that put him on, and it's like he never could get up out of them. So he stressed himself literally to death because he just was like, we're getting trampled over, right? And so Frank knew the issues that was going on. He saw the issues of not being an owner of your own brand, your own product, your own self, and how he didn't want to die the same way his mentor died. And so Money showed also about black man power, the power of a black man can have. Because Richie looked at Frank a different way than Detective Trupo did because Trupo was looking at him like not as important. He can't be the one. We just buying time with him. And Richie's like, no, he is the one because I'm one not racist and I can tell like I'm like smart and I can tell when just how he was getting treated at that boxing match showed Richie everything he needed to know about who Frank was. And that kind of tuned him in on like why they should focus on him. It was like, how are all these white men giving this man respect, this black man respect? That's a big deal. And Detective like, no. And that's how it got in the way with Detective Trooper. But he also just didn't care. Film showed a lot about love and money. You want love and you want money. There's ways to get that, but will it sustain? Will it last? If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. 5 out of 5 for sure. Let me know your favorite parts of the film. And then, yeah, but we're about to do this vid.
Frank came along at a time, or the time was right for him. He was ready at a time when the French Connection heroin, quote unquote, had dried up. And as the story tells us, he took the bold choice of going to Thailand, going to Vietnam, and finding his own source. In those days, as the story is told, the heroin was sold for $50,000-$60,000 a kilo at 50% purity, 60% pure. He found it 100% pure for $4,200 a kilo. It was sold on the street at about 2% pure. So you can do the math. He made an incredible amount of money. At one point, he was making about $1 million a day himself.
So would you get it into the States?
You ain't got to worry about that.
Who do you work for in there?
You ain't got to worry about that either.
Who are you really?
Frank Lucas says it right there in my passport.
I mean, who you represent.
Me.
You think you're going to take 100 kilos of heroin into the US and you don't work for anyone? Someone is going to allow that? After this first purchase, if you're not killed by, say, importers, there are people in the States.
Be more, much more, guaranteed. Man, if it's all the same to you, I don't have to drag my ass up in them.
My man.
So, brother, I'm so... It was interesting to shoot that last because Lucas basically ran Harlem in the 70s. He was the most notorious gangster in the history of America. He's a force of nature.
Our mandate is to make major arrests. In those days, there was a lot of bad cops who were on the take. Richie Roberts' private life was all shot to hell, but he was ultimately honest and believed in what he was doing. I noticed you found $1 million in unmarked cash. Can you get it back? Yeah, I did. Anybody got a problem with that?
Most important thing in business is honesty, integrity, family. That is your house, mama. Never forgetting where we came from. So you are what you are in this world. You're somebody or you ain't nobody.
Let me speak with you a minute. Please, sit down. Sit down for just a minute. Will you please come back a little later? Thank you.
Mom, I got to go, all right?
Yeah, I just a few words.
Listen to me. I got...
Yeah, please, sit down, Sam. Just a few words. I've been thinking about some things. You know, if you'd have been a preacher, your brothers would have been preachers. If you'd have been a soldier, they'd be soldiers. You know that. I mean, they all came here because of you. I mean, you called and they came running. That's because they look up to you. They always expect you to know what's best, but even they know you don't shoot cops. Even I know that. Everyone knows. The only one who doesn't seem to know is you.
Right.
I
ain't gonna shoot him. I promise you, I ain't gonna shoot him.
I never asked you where all this came from because I didn't want to hear you lie.
I don't want you to worry about it. Now, come on, I got to go.
You want to make things so bad for your family that they'll leave you because they will. He will leave you.
And he look up at see her up there. That was a good scene. That was a good scene.
What is that you got? What's what? Yeah, that. What you got on? Very nice suit. That's a very nice suit. That's a clown suit. That's a costume with a big sign on it that says arrest me. You understand? You're too loud. You're making too much noise. Look at me. The loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. I told you that. All right? But you trying to be like Nicky Barnes and them?
What's your problem with Nicky, man? I
ain't got no problem with Nicky. Oh, you like Nicky? Yeah. You want to be like Nicky? You want to be super fly? You want to get work?
It's based on a true story. Probably dabble into that a different day, but go check out this film if you haven't already, or go rewatch it. It's really good.
He don't feel shit because he coked up all the motherfucking time. It's your driver. Get rid of him.
Dope movie. That's gonna be it for today, y'all. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Daily drop. Go check out the other videos I've been dropping. I need money in my bank account right now. Who I gotta rob? I mean, who I gotta talk to? Who I gotta roll with? Who I gotta fuck this? Everybody over here acting like they bluffing. You ain't got no money, nigga, you is broke. I don't really care, I ain't pocket watching, no. I'm just watching how these niggas move.